This video is meant to review the zero exponent property. What you need to remember about the zero exponent property is that anything that is raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So anything raised to 0 equals 1. What you have to be careful with is what is being raised to the 0 power. A good example would be the difference between these two examples here. In this case, we have x to the 0 power. I know that when I simplify that, I get 1. The difference here is x is being raised to the 0 power, so that means this is equal to 1, but the 2 is not. The 2 is not being raised to the 0 power, so I really have 2 times 1. I get 2 as my solution here. So the 0 power property still is applying, but only to that x. In the example here, the 0 exponent applies only to the parentheses. At that point, it doesn't matter what's inside the parentheses. The parentheses are being raised to the 0 power. We get a solution of 1, but be careful, this negative is not in the parentheses. Since the negative's not in the parentheses, it's not being raised to the 0 power. It's part of our final answer. And then the last example, a is raised to the 5th power, b is raised to the 0 power. That term becomes a 1. C is raised to the 2nd power. Since a and c are not being raised to the 0 power, we don't change them. I have a to the 5th, c to the 2nd, times 1 means I just leave that out. Okay. What I want you guys to do is try these 6 problems. Go ahead and hit pause. Unpause when you're ready to check your answers. So for these first 3 problems, they're similar to some of our examples. In number 1, the parentheses are being raised to the power of 0, so the entire term, the entire expression simplifies to 1. In number 2, it's still the parentheses being raised to the power of 0, but this negative is out in front. It needs to be included in our solution, in our simplified expression. And in number 3, the only thing being raised to the 0 power is the b, because I have no parentheses. So the 25 stays as part of my solution. It becomes 25 times 1, which gives me my 25. If you haven't done 4, 5, and 6, pause again to try those problems, please. So number 4 is a similar idea to number 3, where the 0 exponent is really only applying to the x. That's the term that becomes a 1, so it winds up being 7 times 1 times y to the 3rd. 7 times 1 is 7. And 5 is also very similar to number 2 and 3, as far as the negative is not being raised to that 0 power like in number 2. Kind of like in number 25, there's no parentheses. That's how I know the negative is not being raised to that power. All that's being raised to the power of 0 is the variable g. The negative stays as part of my answer. And the last one, I'm just showing that it absolutely does not matter what's inside. It's all about the fact that the entire expression with those parentheses is being raised to the 0 power. That makes the entire expression 1. Now that you've watched the notes or watched the video and taken these notes, done the practice problems, go ahead and give the zero exponent property quiz a try.